I found an old computer in the basement of my grandfather's home, and I think there's something odd about it. Let me start from the beginning. My grandfather was a scientist for some government research company. From what I learned from my dad, my grandpa didn't really share much about his work. Even though he never explicitly said it, my dad had always assumed that his work was confidential. In the beginning, he'd mentioned snippets of projects they were working on, describe members of his team, express his excitement in the new technological breakthroughs they were coming up with. But then, as my father described it, someone from the maintenance staff went missing while trying to fool around with some of their most advanced equipment, and the company completely revamped security. Grandpa didn't talk about work nearly as much after that. And he always seemed stressed out. Even after he retired, I always sensed he carried some kind of mental burden from his time working for that company. Anyway, that's some history on my grandfather. Other than that, he was a quiet, respectable man who provided for his family. Can't really ask for much more than that, I guess. My grandfather passed away recently. He was fortunate enough to spend his last days at home, and he was still pretty sharp even at his old age, and surprisingly was still able to take care of himself right up until his final day. I was tasked with going through his house and his belongings and pretty much cataloging items and cleaning up so the house could eventually be sold. The upstairs and main floor were pretty standard. It was only when I hit the basement that things started to get a little strange. Most of the items in the basement were covered with a film of dust, like they hadn't been used for a long time. There was, however, an item in the basement that looked like it had been used quite recently. It looked like a laptop, but not any brand I've seen before. I carefully picked it up and looked it over. It looked like one of those tough books, sturdy and heavy, thicker and more boxy than a normal laptop, with an oval logo and letters printed on the side, worn down from wear to the point where I couldn't even read them. Regardless, I don't know any current laptop company that makes something like this. Even more, I never really remembered my grandfather talking about having a laptop. I mean, I hadn't been over here in quite some time, but he didn't even have a smartphone. What are the chances he would have gone out and bought a laptop? After examining it for a little while, curiosity got the better of me, and I began to try to find a way to power it on. There were a multitude of ports I didn't recognize, including one big one which I assumed was a charging port. I flipped the laptop open. It looked like a typical laptop layout with a screen and keyboard and what looked like a trackpad. But instead of a typical on button, I noticed a small square button with a tiny hole in the middle, right next to the trackpad. Right as I was about to press it, I was snapped out of the moment by my ringing cell phone. It was my sister. Hello?
Brian, are you still at Grandpa's?
Yeah, I'm just finishing up.
How is it? Do you need my help? I can head over there.
No, I'm good. It's hard being here, you know? It's weird now that he's gone.
I get it. Let me know if you need my help. And don't feel like you have to get all that stuff done right away. If you need a break, take a break.
Yeah, maybe I will.
Oh, and Mom wants to know if you're coming over for dinner tonight.
I don't know, Jules. I'm pretty tired. I kind of just want to go home and rest. Tell them I'm sorry, but tomorrow I'll be over for a bit.
No worries. Talk to you soon.
It was getting late. I closed the laptop and put it in my bag. I searched around for a charger, but couldn't find one. I grabbed my bag with the laptop in it, locked up my grandfather's house for the day, and headed home. After washing up and having dinner, my father came over and picked up some of the items from my grandfather's home, including some old knickknacks like a music box he wanted to give to my sister. When he was gone, I turned my attention once again to the laptop. I pulled it out and put it on my desk and sort of just looked at it. Why was I so interested in this thing? It probably doesn't even have any battery left, and I couldn't find a charger, so it's not like I'd be using this thing for long. I opened it up again and examined the button. I pushed on it with my index finger and it depressed pretty far. I felt a sharp pain quickly on my finger and I pulled back. I looked. Blood. Right at the tip of my finger. It had poked me. Just as I was about to hurl the poorly built piece of trash across the room, the screen buzzed to life. Words appeared in text. It thought I was my grandfather. Was this laptop really unlocked from my blood? What kind of tech was this? Could it be something my grandfather took from his time at the secret tech company? Should I even have this in my possession right now? What if it's being tracked by the government? The laptop booted up and came to what appeared to be a desktop screen with sparse icons. I was hesitant to explore this laptop further, seeing as it might be considered government-issue property if my grandpa did have it from work. Eventually, though, curiosity did get the better of me, and I started exploring some of the folders on the laptop. There was one folder titled Projects that were just, project names. Many of them were encrypted, so I could only see the names of said projects. There were dozens of them. There was even a folder outlining projects that were scrapped or abandoned. But as I was clicking around the folders, I noticed one file that was hidden, no name or indication as to what it was. When I highlighted it, the same oval logo that was on the outside of the laptop appeared. I clicked it, and a black dialog box popped up. Words began to appear on the screen. There was a cursor and a box to type into, so I typed back. After a few moments, more words appeared on the screen. Words that started to creep me out as I was reading them. I sat there, quite stunned for a moment. There didn't appear to be a camera anywhere on the laptop. Not that I could see anyway. How did this thing know? I mulled it over for a few minutes and considered just shutting the thing down. But instead I typed into the dialog box. The next line of text sent a chill down my spine.